One day, Jake returned home to find his 3-year-old daughter in a contemplative mood. Out of nowhere, she piped up, "Daddy, Grandma will die tomorrow." Jake was puzzled by her sudden proclamation, but didn't think much of it until the next morning when he received the shocking news of Grandma's passing. The following day, as Jake braced himself for another unsettling prediction, his daughter solemnly declared, "Grandpa will die tomorrow." Jake's heart sank as he remembered her previous accurate prediction, and just as she foretold, Grandpa breathed his last the next day, leaving Jake utterly bewildered. As Jake struggled to comprehend his daughter's eerie premonitions, she dropped another bombshell. "Dad will die tomorrow." Jake was terrified by her words, unable to sleep that night, consumed by fear of his impending fate. But as the next morning dawned and Jake found himself still alive, he breathed a sigh of relief. However, his relief was short-lived when his wife rushed in with a solemn expression. "Jake," she said softly, "I have some bad news. The milkman passed away this morning." A famous hypnotist is performing at a senior center. He says to the audience, "I can hypnotize any of you with just a single word. Watch this." He takes out a shiny pocket watch and begins swinging it back and forth, chanting, "Watch the watch, watch the watch, watch the watch." Suddenly he trips and shouts, "Shit!" It took 3 days to clean up the center. A computer programmer is walking along the beach when he finds a strange bottle. He uncorks it and a genie appears. "I will grant you 3 wishes," says the genie. The programmer thinks for a bit and says, "Okay, first I want $1 million. Poof, $1 million appears. Second, I want a new sports car. Poof, a shiny new sports car appears. And for my 3rd wish, I want to be irresistible to women. Poof, he turns into a credit card. 3 men find a magical slide that grants a wish as they slide down. As they go down, they must yell out what they wish for. The first man slides down and yells, "Money!" He lands in a pile of cash. The second man slides down and shouts, "Fame!" He lands in a crowd of adoring fans. The third man, not paying attention, slides down and screams, "We!" He lands in a pool of urine. An elderly couple is having dinner at another couple's house. After the meal, the wives go into the kitchen while the men talk in the living room. One man says, "Last night we went out to a new restaurant and it was great. I highly recommend it." The other man asks, "What's the name of the restaurant?" The first man thinks and thinks but can't remember. Finally he asks, "What's the name of that flower you give to someone you love? You know, the one that's red and has thorns." "Do you mean a rose?" the other man asks. "Yes, that's it." He turns toward the kitchen and yells, "Rose, what's the name of that restaurant we went to last night?" A farmer had 3 daughters who were all of dating age. Every weekend, the same 3 young men would come to the farmhouse to take each daughter out. The farmer, being a protective father, decided he would meet each suitor and have a little chat with them. One night, the first boy comes to the door and says, "Hi, I'm Joe. I'm here for Flo. We're going to the show. Is she ready to go?" The farmer nods approvingly. Joe leaves with Flo. Shortly after, the second boy arrives and says, "Hi, I'm Eddie. I'm here for Betty. We're going to eat spaghetti. Is she ready?" The farmer agrees, smiling. Eddie leaves with Betty. Finally, the third boy comes to the door and says, "Hi, I'm Chuck." The farmer slams the door without a word. A salesman is traveling through the countryside when his car breaks down. He walks to a nearby farmhouse and asks to use the phone. The farmer agrees and invites him to stay the night since the repair shop won't be open until morning. The salesman notices the farmer has a huge pig with a wooden leg and asks about it. The farmer says, "Oh, that pig is very special. Once our house caught fire and the pig dragged us all out to safety. Another time I fell into the river and the pig jumped in and pulled me out." "Wow, that's incredible," says the salesman. "But why does the pig have a wooden leg?" The farmer looks at him and replies, "Well, you don't eat a pig like that all at once." In a quaint village, there was a magic mirror that granted wishes, but only if you told the absolute truth. If you lied, you would vanish into thin air. One day, a brunette stands in front of the mirror and says, "I think I'm the most beautiful woman in the world." Poof, she disappears. Next, a redhead stands in front of the mirror and says, "I think I'm the smartest woman in the world." Poof, she disappears. Finally, a blonde stands in front of the mirror and says, "I think," poof, she disappears. A man finds a genie lamp and rubs it. The genie appears and says, "I'll grant you 3 wishes, but whatever you wish for, your wife will get double." The man thinks and says, "Okay, I want $1 million." Poof, he gets $1 million, and his wife gets 2 million. "For my second wish, I want a mansion." Poof, he gets a mansion, and his wife gets 2. "For my third wish," the man says, "I want you to scare me half to death." A man climbs a mountain to seek wisdom from a monk. When he reaches the top, he asks, "What is the secret to a happy life?" The monk says, "Do not argue with fools. Just say, 'You're absolutely correct,' and move on." The man replies, "I don't think that's right." The monk nods and says, "You're absolutely correct."